Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to Sunday Sit with Sisters. It is me, Sister Rolanda, and today I am joined by Sister Rosa Page. She's the one who does the Black Femicide, which is super important. And before I bring her on, I want to start off with this video from the sister, and then we're going to move from there. I think this is y'all know me. I think this is super important. And so I'm very grateful and honored to have this sister on here today. So let me get this video queued up. Here it is right here. And I'm going to bring it on as you can see it. And we'll start with this.
Well, tonight, an Arkansas mother and nurse is getting national recognition for the research that she's doing on the murders of African-American women. She spoke with our Desmond Nugent about the work she's doing and her plans for the future.
Rosalind Page says while she prefers her research be kept behind the scenes, is leading her to a march in Washington, D.C. Through her nonprofit organization, Black Femicide Twitter page, hundreds of posts about the murders of Black women and girls.
Because I saw the increase in violence within our community that's specifically targeted against women and girls. Of course, being a mom of 4 daughters, you know, that kind of struck home.
It's a passion that has allowed Page to work with MIT researchers and the United Nations. From her research, 27 of 33 Black women were killed last year in Central Arkansas and 1,483 across the country.
I'm still waiting on the FBI to compile their numbers, and if it's on par with 2020's, that means I'm looking at maybe an increase by anywhere from 200 to 250 additional victims.
The FBI tells KATV her numbers are close to what they have recorded. Page set up a GoFundMe a year ago that skyrocketed since the Washington Post recently featured her plan to address these killings through a march in Washington, D.C., scheduled in September.
I'm hoping that the march and being here in Arkansas, legislators will hear this and we can start working together, and hopefully they'll approach me to talk about the issues that I see.
Page says many families nationwide reach out to her hoping something changes and someone cares. Beth.
All right, Desmond, thanks a lot. Paige says she also
family,
hopes to address
if
bail
you would
reform when she goes
please
to the nation's capital
join me
September.
and welcoming our dear sister Rosa. Peace, sis.
Hey, Rolanda. Hey, everybody.
So thank you, first of all, for all the work that you've been doing over the years on this particular topic. I mean, it's heart-wrenching. But this is what's happening in our community. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work that you do, for your consistency. I'll be very honest with you. A lot of the work that I've seen happen in our community has always been, for the most part, some Black women. Like, we're not waiting on a grant. We're not waiting on other people to think we're important. We gonna do something. And I just want to say thank you, Sister Rosa. What sparked you to start tracking the Black women, the Black femicide? What started you on that?
What started me was, again, I noticed that within our community, Black women and girls are usually left out of the conversation. And not only within our community, outside of the community. In 2015, the FBI stated that a Black woman, well, not a Black woman, let me back up. In 2015, the FBI stated that every 19 hours, a woman was being killed in America. And that was meaning white, Black, Asian, whatever the case was. I knew that within our community, that number was not close to what I was seeing. So that started me on my quest to start doing research regarding femicide as it relates to the Black community.
So what is happening in our community that you see the murdering of us so much so?
It's really hard to pinpoint, but I can say that within our community, Black women and girls just aren't valued. We're not valued like the other half of our community is. You know, we have organizations, we have marches set up for when a Black man or boy is killed by law enforcement. That really seems to be the focus, you know, in these social justice times that we're living in. And even prior to that, we still were left out of the conversation. So when I speak about us not being valued, the only time we're valued is when it comes to fighting for other people. We're never valued when we fight for ourselves. And I can say that because I receive a lot of pushback because people will say that, you know, I'm being divisive by only focusing on Black women and girls. You know, I'm trying to paint a picture as it relates to who the perpetrators are, which is Black men and boys. And I have to tell people, you know, this is a many-layered issue, but I always find it strange that we understand proximity when it relates to other communities. Bring up proximity. But when we start talking about proximity related issues within our community, it's a problem. People don't want to talk about it.
So how much of this, because one of the things I hear a lot, because, you know, I'm always using your numbers, I'm always referring people to your page, I'm always showing your stories. I'm just thanking you for putting faces to the victims. You know what I mean? I mean, too often we'll, you know, we only value Black life when white life is taking a Black life, but when Black life take Black life, it's cricket in our own community. How do you deal with this misogyny that you see in our community as it pertains to this? Why is it that we are so into protecting Black men even when they're wrong and when they're murdering and killing us?
The way I deal with it is just constant re-education. I have to educate people on what misogyny looks like, what misogyny is. And again, when we're talking about ignoring the issues that we suffer from and being dismissive of it as saying that, oh, well, this happens in other communities as well. I have to tell them that what you're doing is misogyny, because within other communities, they do discuss these issues as it relates to the violence that the women and girls within their community suffer from. I can say that because through the research that I've done, sitting on panels with women across the globe, not just here in the United States, across the globe, women are discussing the issues within their communities as it relates to their murders. But specific to Black women and girls, and I can say within the United States and actually across the diaspora, that is something that people do not want to talk about. Black folks do not want to reckon with the issue that we are being killed within our own communities by our own people. So again, when we talk about proximity, proximity happens within our community as well. We cannot continue to blame other people for the issues that are going on in our community. So,
So what are the current stats now?
Today, on the 17th, I can safely say it's 57. Okay.
Wait,
And
7 what?
57 murders of Black women and girls.
Wait a
And
minute.
in fact,
In January?
yes, ma'am. And actually, let me go ahead and say it's actually 59 because I just was sent a story about a man who shot his mother and grandmother in the car and also killed his 13-year-old son. So actually, it's 59.
Okay. Hold on, Rosa. So you're
Yes, ma'am.
telling me, we're doing this interview right now. It's January the 17th. This is not going to air for like another week or so, or really like another 2 weeks. So we're on the 17th day of January, and the number for murdered Black girls and women, Black femicide, is 59, and we're on the 17th day of the 17th day of January in a new year.
Yes, ma'am. Last year we were at every 6 hours. We are really at about every 5.5, close to 5 hours. Okay. On January 6th, this year was the bloodiest day so far. And I say that, and we're only in January. On January 6th of this year, 10 Black women and girls were murdered.
And see, the thing of it is, what kind of makes me, what makes me mad is that some of us are sitting at home waiting for the next police shooting, but are crickets on this subject.
Yes, ma'am.
Crickets. And that's why
Yes.
sometimes I really don't have much to say when we start talking about social justice and I'm an activist, and I just be like, these are Negroes who just want something to do. The real problems in our community, this is a real issue. This is like a crisis. You know what I mean? This is something is terribly wrong that you're murdering women, Black women and girls. That's a problem. It's like killing yourself, because you can only get to the planet if you come through her.
And that's a conversation that I'm continually talking about. When you are killing a Black woman or girl, especially those within their childbearing years, you're removing generations. Future generations are instantly erased. So when we talk about genocide, that's a form of genocide. And that's why I say we need to reckon with a lot as it relates to Black femicide within the Black community. As I stated, we're really down to like every 5.5. And I don't want to be so presumptuous, but I can actually say that by the end of this year, I believe we will be at every 4.5 hours. We'll be closer to South Africa, which is every 4 hours. Because as I stated, on the 6th of January, and I want people to hear what I'm saying, 10 Black women and girls were murdered on January 6th of this year. On average, I have been counting 5 murders a day on average. So that will put us less than every 6 hours.
So Sister Rosa, like, I see where it talked about you working with the MIT researchers and with the United Nations. Since in our own communities, it's obvious that we are not able to govern or to have a conversation in our own communities around violence in our community. What are our next steps? How can we go to the United Nations or some other body to help us with this crisis in our own communities?
That would really take, and I'm just going to say this, it would take an act of God at this point. for Black women in America to address the plight and take this seriously. We have been able to help other people with their movements, getting people put in office and whatnot. So I know that as Black women, we have the power to do it. But the issue is raising a collective consciousness to actually want to do something about it. Because the problem that is going to be faced with by most Black women is they're going to be feeling as though they are going against the Black man. They're going to feel like they're being traitors to the race. And they will also, when they feel that way, they're also going to be getting that messaging from those in the community. So it's an internal battle and an external battle, because this is what's going to be, she's going to get it from every angle, that what she's doing is not right. What she's doing is painting a picture. And then they're going to start bringing up racism. So again, Black women are going to have to start putting our issues first. We have put everyone's issues before our own, and it is now time that we start centering ourselves.
So what work have you done with the United Nations?
Well, when I'm doing the work, what it is that we're sitting on global panels discussing femicide, what goes, as well as within our communities. So we are trying to just form a coalition to do the research and put that data out there, so that legislators, no matter what country you are in, so that legislators can start dealing with this issue from a policy standpoint. Because we do have in our country, and I'm going to speak about the United States. In the United States, we have legislative measures for missing and murdered Indigenous women. We have policies in place for like Asians. We have nothing in place for Black women and girls. And yet we are being murdered more than any other group of women and girls in this country. Minnesota actually has a task force set up to research missing and murdered Black women and girls within their state. And they are the only state in this union that is addressing or attempting to address the issue as they see it. We need something like that in every state across the country. Black women are 2.5 to 3 times more likely to be a victim of murder than a white woman. Also, that goes up. Some statisticians say as much as it can go up to as much as 8 times more likely if she's pregnant.
Oh, wow.
I have seen from the past year an increase of pregnant women and teenagers being murdered. And I'm talking about fully pregnant women, visibly pregnant women being killed. And again, that goes to some issues within the community that we can discuss further, maybe on another show.
But let's stop for a minute and look at those issues. What issues can be happening that you would murder somebody?
Okay, because I can talk like this with you.
Please, because I don't understand murder though. Let's
talk about the murder of pregnant women and girls.
Okay.
All across social media, you have platforms dedicated to the degradation of Black women and girls. They call it the Black Manosphere. I'm not going to call out any particular.
Yeah, don't give nobody no shine.
No, I'm not giving nobody no shine. But anybody can go to the Black Manosphere and see the vitriol that is being spewed against Black women and girls. In fact, there are all kinds of videos and chats and forums about killing or getting rid of someone who may be putting you on child support. So the motivating factor is child support with a lot of these murders. So I mean, this is real. These are real issues. There are people out there actively saying, and later on I can share some videos with you. I don't have them right now, of people saying, go kill Black women and girls. It's okay to do that. We need to get rid of them. There are people, platforms out there, and yet these social media platforms refuse to remove those videos, no matter how much you report them, and they will respond to you and say, this does not violate the community standards or the terms of service. Yet, if this were white women that they were saying this about, if this was Asian women that they were saying this about, if this were indigenous women that they were saying this about, not only would the video be removed, that person's account will more than likely be removed as well.
Yeah.
But all of these vitriolic videos spouting hate against Black women and girls are allowed to stand. So we also need to start taking these social media platforms to task as well for allowing this hate to be shared.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
What kind of policy could you see coming as a result of this? What would you like to see, to protect Black women and girls?
There are a couple of things. One of the things that I would like to see is a domestic violence registry, because again, through research, many of the people who have perpetrated these crimes have a long history of domestic violence. They have been violent felons, very, violent offenders, repeat offenders. So they should be placed on a registry, much like a sex offenders registry. We need to be aware of people who are in the community that may present a threat. So that's one issue that I hope to have addressed. Another issue is this low to no bail. There have been people who have, again, here recently, there was a young lady matter of fact, it was two young women who were murdered by one of the victim's boyfriend. He had a history of violence. He had been in prison, and in fact, he was out on bond for another murder.
Wow.
So why are people who are being charged with murder allowed bond of any form? I do believe Alabama is trying to change their legislation so that it's either right now the bond is $150,000, which you can put up 10%, which is what, 15,000, and you can be out on bond on murder. I believe they are trying to raise that to $1.5 million. But I feel that it should be no bond when you're being arrested for murder. You should be held until trial. People are being out on bond for murder, going on to commit the same crime, and then they're rearrested, and now, okay, well, we're not going to give this person bond. Well, they shouldn't have been out in the first place.
I agree.
So legislative changes need to happen. We need to start putting pressure on these lawmakers, these judges, these district attorneys who are out here allowing this to stand. They are a lot, making deals with people, district attorneys making deals with people, allowing them back on the street, judges giving people slaps on the wrist. As a taxpayer, you need to start making noise and getting these people recalled. We cannot keep laying on our backs and allowing people to just walk all over us while innocent people in the community are being murdered. Because yes, though my focus is Black women and girls, in the community, vulnerable people as well. The elderly are being put at risk. The disabled are being put at risk. Those with mental challenges are being put at risk. So if we don't care for those within the community that usually are the targets, then we don't have a community.
I think it's safe to say that we really don't have a community, because as much as Black people talk this, we, mine, ours, all together and all that stuff, it's obvious that we really don't care about each other like that, or else we would not be killing each other up, and we would not have 1,000 excuses for why it is okay to kill up people. I think that's what's most disturbing to me, is this idea that somehow it's okay because, this is your brother or something, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what brother kills his sister. Like, I really don't know. When I look on your Black Femicide page and see the photos of these beautiful women, and girls and babies, it breaks my heart. And I really struggle to understand why more people in our community don't feel that same sense. But in the same breath, we'll talk about other communities and other groups of people not valuing us. But it seems that we don't value us.
The young women that you're showing. This young woman right here, her boyfriend murdered her, and he had a history of violence. He should have never been out on the street. A lot of these deaths are preventable.
Even leaving this little sister on the bus for 9 hours in freezing weather. Like, that's even the treatment.
And luckily she did not die.
Yes.
The two daycare workers, they tried to bribe her with $3 so she wouldn't tell her family.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
And these are Black women that did this. So again, within our own community, we have issues. Those are the two young women that were killed by one of them, I forget which one, their boyfriend killed one of their boyfriends killed both of them. He had a history of violence. He had already murdered someone before. He had only been out for 3 months before he went on to do this. Not only did he kill both of them, he went on to kill himself so he didn't have to face the consequences. So we see an increase in murder suicides, just like the women that I just mentioned earlier, the mother and daughter who were killed by the younger woman's son. Brother. He killed his mother, his sister, and his own 13-year-old son.
I understand it, but I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Because these same people, these violent people we're talking about, these are the same people who talk about the police not treating them right, but they never once think to do anything to them, but they will kill somebody who, it's just the mindset. It's disturbing. You know what I mean?
So this also adds to brings up the argument about community policing. We have this issue going on right now where, it's defund the police, removing the police from the communities and whatnot. But
I'm definitely not for that. I'm not gonna lie.
No, we're not. I'm not on board with that because we're not policing ourselves now.
Right on.
So if we're not policing ourselves now, it will be just wholesale carnage.
Yeah.
So that really is something that we don't need to talk about. I don't think as Black women, that's a conversation that we need to be entering into. A social worker was just stabbed to death in Illinois, in Thayer, Illinois, because she was going to remove some children from a home. She was stabbed to death by the children's father, okay? But when we talk about defunding the police, social workers are the first people who are going to be on those front lines. And we have to remember, once again, we're putting Black women at risk because a lot of Black women are social workers.
That's right.
We're willing to put Black women on the front lines again.
Yeah.
I'm not going for it.
That's real talk. That's real talk. That's real talk. That's real talk. And I think we don't even think about that. When you think about the frontline workers, period, most of the time they really are Black women. Those who are willing to step in and to stand up for what's right, or to, say something is normally us. Not all the time, but a lot of Black men have 50 million excuses why this brother is taking somebody's life, instead of feeling like, no, this is wrong. And maybe we need to be teaching brothers, like, don't do that. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see any kind of help from Black men on saving Black men. It's like people think that's Black women's job to care for everybody, to take care of everybody, even if it means their own life. Because right now,
we've done this since slavery. Black women have taken care of the family before slavery, during slavery, and post-slavery. How much more saving can we do when we're not saving ourselves? Yeah,
because this just don't make no damn sense. I don't even know what else to really say. You ever just be totally dumbfounded because we know it don't make any sense. You know what I mean? And I think for me, my truth is every time, well, I haven't heard of many police shootings lately. But when that happens, and everybody and their mama is an activist, but when it's something in which we can control as a people, there's crickets out here.
Yeah,
very few of us is on that front line, like really trying to stop the bloodshed in our own community and the murdering of our future mothers. You know what I mean? And the cornerstone of our community. I don't see any of those activists out here. They're home watching the Kardashians.
We're killing some of our brightest and best. A young lady was just murdered who was weeks away from graduating. She was going into neuroscience. Do you hear that? She was going into neuroscience, and she was murdered. She was killed in a murder-suicide. So she was, and she started an organization that she was helping people within the community at the age of 21. But she's now deceased. She has started an organization, and her family says that they're going to continue the work, especially since she already has this organization set up. But we are killing the brightest and the best, people who could actually make a difference within the community. And again, no one wants to talk about it. It's like moving on to the next thing. And I can't allow these sisters, because they are sisters,
That's right.
I can't allow them their deaths to be in vain. A lot of times families are so overwhelmed with grief that they just don't have the energy to fight. So that's who we need to be fighting for. We need to be fighting for those who no longer have a voice or who just can't use their voice.
Right on, right on. Tell me about this march that's going to happen in DC.
The March for DC is tentatively scheduled for August, maybe September, because, I've gotten some information on the back end, but the march is going to be, once again, addressing the issues of Black women and girls being killed within the community. I'm bringing it to the yard of the lawmakers. DC is where all political activity happens in America. So I want to bring this issue to their doorstep so they know that we are tired. We want them to do something. We're out here fighting for an issue that is real, that can affect any one of us. A lot of women that I know personally have been impacted by the murders of Black women and girls, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Within our community, it's always, well, what did she do?
Yep.
You know, it's always a victim blaming. But when we hear a Black man or boy has been murdered, no one ever questions it. Now, nobody should ever, you know, I'm of the school of thought, nobody should really ever question when somebody is murdered in cold blood, okay? Nobody should ever be questioned. But within our community, it seems to be okay to question why a Black woman or girl is murdered. We need to get away from that. If we need to stop it. That person is no longer here to give their side of the story. So we need to stand in the gap for them.
If people wanted to join the march, to support the march, how can they do that?
They can always go to my Facebook page, Instagram, or Twitter. I actually have an email, which is blackfemicideus@gmail.com. And they can just send me an email and get all the information from there. You know, eventually we will be releasing the information, you know, as time moves forward regarding the march and, you know, whatnot, information for vendors or people who want to attend. All of that information will be coming soon. So, like I said, we will be releasing that information.
How do you get these stories, Rosa? Like, how do you find out? You do such a wonderful job of gathering this information and tracking it. How do you do it? Do people send you stuff? How does that happen? And you said that's blackfemicideus@gmail?
Yes.
Okay.
I get it from just scouring the internet, looking up news stories. People send me information. Also, a lot of times, like I'll go to different websites that are dedicated to tracking violence as well. So I'll go to like Baltimore, the Baltimore Sun has a page or they have a site where you can go to see the homicides in that area. The LA Times also has a homicide section that they deal with the homicides. So I'm going to sites like that. Gun Memorial is another site that I use. So, you know, I have different sites that I use, and I still do it the old-fashioned way, just researching and just digging and looking for stories. Most of it is just a lot of footwork where I'm looking for it on my own.
So being a mother, being a woman yourself, and also being a mother, you said of 4 girls?
Yes, their ages from 16 to 31.
Wow. How do you educate your daughters on this danger?
Because I do the work, they hear it. They're hearing it constantly. I talk to them about it. In fact, over the weekend, me and my teenager had a little disagreement because she wanted to go out with friends. And, you know, I'm like, well, I need to know where you guys are going, you know, what kind of area you're going to and whatnot. And, you know, she became a little frustrated because she's like, Mom, I know this is the work that you do. And I know that you're concerned and everything, but I still got to have my friends. And, you know, and I understand that, but I just wanted her to be aware that there are dangers out there. I don't want you to be going on a fool's errand, just going into situations blindly. So yes, I'm constantly talking to my daughters, every single one of them, even the married ones. I'm talking to her as well, you know. So this is something that I'm constantly driving home for them because they're Black women and they could be targets.
What are some of the signs? I mean, even though I don't think there's really a sign per se that people show, but when you think about the cases that are domestic violence, what are some of the signs that people could at least be on the lookout for, that there could be danger heading a murder, your murder around the people?
Controlling, people who are controlling, who constantly want to know everything that you're doing at any moment's notice, or they're constantly up under you. Love bombing is what they now are calling it, where they're just like they love you so much, just so into you. But see, that's a technique that cults use as well. You know,
Mm,
that love bombing, like everything is good, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, I'm good, I'm wonderful. And you know, it's just it's sick, because it's really to gaslight you and to make you
mm,
ignore the signs of danger that's coming down the pipe.
mm, mm. That's so true.
Yeah, so you know, there are signs, you know, and then like I said, the first sign of violence, you need to be out. You know, when a person shows you that they have a violent nature, get away from them immediately. Get away from them. Tell someone. Don't be embarrassed to talk about it. Don't be embarrassed to go to the police. You know, you need to really stop the veil of secrecy, because this is how these
Mhm.
people thrive. They thrive on secrecy.
Yes.
They thrive on the fact that you don't want to be embarrassed. So,
Hmm.
you know, tell everybody. I don't care who it is. Tell everybody. Tell your mother, your brother, your aunt, your friend, your coworker. Let somebody know, so that in the event that somebody starts getting out of pocket, people can say, well, you know, she told me that this was going on. You know, she
Hmm.
told me that this person is dangerous. He's been sitting out there in the parking lot while she's upstairs and at work. You know, you need to let people know. Let security know at your job. Let security know if you live in a complex where you have security. Open your mouth.
Yeah.
These people cannot hide unless you keep your mouth shut.
Right on. And I'll say it like this: you'll hear people say stuff like, "Well, don't call the police because he could possibly get hurt by the police. Better him getting hurt than you being killed and murdered."
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Let them deal with the police,
Yeah.
because like you said, it's better for them to deal with the authorities than for your family to be planning your funeral.
Right on. Right on. And if something happens to him at the police, he has protection. You the one
Yeah.
that don't have no protection.
Yes. That's true.
I
That's
think we got
true.
to look at things clearly for what it is.
Yes.
And so, that's why I say you can't defund the police, because who else you gonna call? Because you can't call your own community, because we don't even want to talk about this.
Exactly.
Let's keep it real. This young sister right here, 15-year-old track athlete, identified as a girl killed in this park. See, stuff like this we see and we act like, and then if a white person say something about it, then all of a sudden we feel some kind of way. But it's here.
Yes, that's true. That is so true. She was killed in a park. Nobody knows what happened. You know, young, promising young woman. And from what her mother said, this was a park that was across the street from her home. This was like her favorite place to be at, you know, just sitting at the park. But again, you know, and I'm trying to be diplomatic, but it's to the point where the apathy from within the community, I've heard, and I'm just gonna say it, shit happens. That's
Mm,
really how people. That's really how people have, and that's really what people have said to me.
sad.
Shit happens, and I'm like, wow, that's how we're going to deal with a sister being murdered. Is this the hood? It happens. This is not normal. We've normalized dysfunction.
Hmm. And it's at the stage where you can't blame no other group but yourself.
Yeah.
So we
So
love
I
to
don't
put
want to
the
hear.
blame on other people. I don't want to hear
Yeah,
about no damn
I
white
don't want
supremacy.
to hear about slavery.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about white supremacy.
I just don't.
I don't want to hear about any of that. Because when these brothers, or y'all call them brothers,
They ain't my
when these
brother doing this.
right, when these brothers are out here killing these sisters, they ain't thinking about history, no history lesson.
It sure ain't.
So I don't want to hear it.
Wow. She's 15. Like, man, we don't even know what she would have given us, the world.
Mhm.
Like what she really came to do.
Right,
We'll never know.
right. These people, like the young neuroscientist girl. We talking about neuroscience. Do you know the percentage of Black folks in
Yeah.
neuroscience?
Yeah.
Who
Very.
knows what you could have cured
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or found the secrets to? We don't know.
Yeah. No, that's real talk. Or even this elder here. This man was stalking this woman for 20 years. And I can hear some of us in our community talking about, well, maybe you got to get him some help. We can't worry about helping people like this.
This was a horrific story. This was like I remember every story. This woman was she was a guard in a prison, and this man who killed her was an inmate. He had stalked her from the time she worked in the prison up to 20 years. He was in prison, and he had got out recently. I want to say that March. He had got out in March of that year, last year, because I believe she got killed last October. And he got out in March and killed her in October. She had went to the police and told the police that this man was stalking her. Do you know that the man was in the back of her car when she left out of the police station? They did not even escort her to her car.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is what's going on in our community, people.
Ooh, Lord Jesus, I'm just like dumbfounded. Like, it just don't make no damn sense.
No, it doesn't. 20 years. This woman had no dealings with this man. He was obsessed with her. So when I hear people sitting up saying, "Oh, this is the people that Black women choose," and this woman didn't have no dealings with this man. This man stalked this woman from prison.
Yeah.
For 20 years. How could she fight that? This was sick right here.
Mm-hmm.
He poisoned his wife with cocaine. Poisoned his wife with cocaine.
And notice it says he's a former Georgia school administrator. So here's somebody who tends to be educated.
Ain't that the high value Black man they talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I say it's cultural, because it's from the muck in society, what we consider the dregs of society, up to the top. The woman in California who was murdered here recently, who was the bank executive. She was killed by another bank executive. So these are educated folks are doing it. It's not just the thugs who are out here murdering us. So let's stop that. Let's stop this notion of it's the thugs who are doing it, because it's not just the thugs.
I was going to share this one post, but I'm not. But it just says a Seventh-day Adventist church pastor calls for husbands to rate their wives. He's been removed. But I'm just saying it's the culture. Yeah. And he was in Africa, but it's the culture of how we think women are property. They belong to you. There's just no value, no sense of value. But if something happened to a Black man or a boy, there's value immediately placed on him. And this is what I believe, Rosa, why some of us leave Black folks, because you kind of feel better just being on your own, because when you try to be in a group, it's hard because we don't want to do the work it takes to have a valued community or to have a valued society.
But when you start doing the work, you're called everything but a child of God, because that's what's happened to me. When you feel that you're doing something of value for the community, which is discussing murders and violence within the community and how we need to do something to address this issue, you're called a bed wench, a coon, a race traitor, and all of these things. But the ones calling you that, they're not doing anything. So I let it roll off my back.
Well, they mad because you just sit there and die quietly. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think it was Bell Hooks, or I can't remember who said that. If you say nothing about your pain, when you die, they'll say you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that you do a lot of articles and you show the faces of these bastards, you know what I mean, who have the audacity to take somebody's life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, they face should be plastered everywhere. And then you'll get people saying it's gonna make black men look bad. Well, look, don't do it.
Right. You're your own public relations agent. I'm not responsible for that.
Really, I'm not.
If you don't want bad press, don't do nothing to get in the press.
This man shot and killed his girlfriend and then cuts the child with a knife. I mean,
and he admitted to raping the child. He sodomized the little boy.
Oh my God, it is.
So yeah, we have a lot of issues that we can talk about, because sexual depravity within our community is an issue. The raping of women, girls, and children.
Yeah.
The making fun of it, calling girls fast when someone rapes them, saying that she asked for it. Even I've heard when a little boy is raped or something, even a young male child, oh, well, he was gay. I mean, what's wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong, family?
Yeah, that's real
What's
talk.
wrong? What's wrong? Why is it okay to victim blame? Why is it that the shift is always away from the perpetrator and it's placed in the lap of the victim, who had no control over what this person decided to do? That's not the victim's fault.
That's real talk. Yeah, absolutely correct. But I also think we have to dismantle our own, and I also think we got to stop acting like this is some kind of white people's concept. We're human beings. We do messed up stuff, y'all. So this is not a European concept. Men ruling stuff is all over the place. I mean, in terms of them being dictated stuff, every culture do it. It's not exclusive to Europe. They do it in Africa. They do it everywhere. It is not an agreed upon. Like somehow it's different when we do it. It's wrong when whoever does it.
Right.
It's wrong. You know what I mean? It's not more African for men to be the head. Like that has nothing to do with that.
No, it does not.
That's how twisted we are in the head. Yeah. And it'll always be some Afrocentric type of Negro reading some books, that don't really want to do the work or put it into practice. That doesn't work. You're killing people is not okay. There's no place in the book where you suppose, come on. And if it isn't, there's some man wrote that. I mean, that's sick.
It is. So, like I said, we need to get black, especially as black women, you need to get your head out the sand and start dealing with protecting and placing you and your child's needs before others. We have focused on other folks for far too long. We have focused on folks within the community, and we focused on folks outside of the community. People love to use the Black woman as a prop for their movement.
Yes.
But when it comes to us and our issues, everybody flees like it's the scene of a crime. So if other folks won't do it for yourself. And we need to stop letting people stand on our shoulders with their movements. Prioritize yourself. And we've done it for too long. We've been involved in almost every single movement here in the United States for everyone. We've been used to bulk up people's numbers, to get folks in office and everything. But when it comes to talking about us, we're othered. Oh, well, other women get murdered too. Other women face femicide too. Well, number one, the Black community wasn't even talking about femicide.
Sure wasn't.
The Black community was not talking about femicide. So I don't want to hear it. Start doing the work. Start paying attention to what's going on. Start looking and seeing that folks are trying to gaslight this agenda. Femicide is a real agenda, especially in the Black community. And folks want this to just go away, but it's not.
Right on, right on. Sis, one more time, tell us about your march.
Again, the march is supposed to be held in Washington, D.C., tentatively in August, possibly September. And I want to see a sea of Black women faces there. You know, if you're in the DMV area, please, please, please plan on attending. If you can't, you know, any support is needed by sharing the stories, just getting the word out. Have the conversations within your own community. I don't care if it's the PTA meeting. Go to the city council and bring it up. When these legislators, because we're about to start going into election season. Go to these meetings with these people who are elected officials who are trying to keep their little comfortable seat and ask them directly what is their agenda when it comes to Black femicide.
Right on. Right on.
So, no, don't talk about anything else as a Black woman. Yes, we can walk and chew gum at the same time, but Black femicide needs to be the number one priority in your conversation when it relates to these issues within the community.
Right on, right on. Sister Rosa, thank you so much. It is always a pleasure and an honor to talk with you. Thank you for making time for me. I'm going to try to do a show on this once a month. Okay. I feel like man, we just got to raise the vibration, and I'm challenging everyone under the sound of my voice to go to that march, to come with your loved one who or friends who have been murdered with their pictures on their banners. I think we got to bring those people to life, their energy to life, to show people this is what Black femicide look like. Look at the sea of faces that we lost to senseless violence that should not be gone. We're in an era of COVID. They didn't die of a cause or of disease or something. They died at the hands of another person. And to me, that changes the whole energy of the planet when people leave like that. Like they almost can't even rest.
Because you know I don't even use the terminology because people say, oh, they passed away. No, they didn't. They were murdered. We're going to call it what it is. They were murdered. People pass away from old age. People pass away when they have cancer or Alzheimer's or some other debilitating illness. These sisters did not pass away. They were murdered and taken away from us violently. We're going to call it what it is.
Right on. Right on. So thank you, Sister Rosa, and I'll definitely be in contact and touch with you. And thank you all for watching, for listening. Please reach out to Sister Rosa, Black Femicide US at Gmail. She's also on Facebook at Black Femicide US. Check in with the sister, support her, share the messages, share these stories, y'all. Do not wait for your personal invitation to this tragedy. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Y'all take care. Peace. Hold on, Sister. All right. Wait a minute.
Artlist.io Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.